Now, which professional standards are we going to follow? The AICPA Statements on Auditing Standards provides the most authoritative guidance for an audit of financial statements by an independent auditor. Right here, we see non-issuers have to follow the ASB, the Accounting Standards Board, or AICPA standards. Statement on Auditing Standards provide the most authoritative guidance, whereas the PCAOB, the Public Company Accounting Oversight Board, provides the most authoritative guidance for a public company and how that audit to be conducted there. Some terminology in professional standards I want to go over. We're going to see this throughout the exam. If you see the terminology that the auditor should do something, that's a presumptively mandatory requirement. It's a nice way of saying you need to do this, which should be followed in all cases with the exception of a few rare circumstances. Meaning you should do substantive testing. You should plan for the audit. Now, what about may? May means explanatory information that presents a viable option. If we're talking about testing, the example can say the auditor may choose to send confirmations. The auditor may choose to inspect the physical goods. Those are not specifics. I'm not referencing anything, but the auditor has a responsibility to consider these actions or procedures. Now, what about might? That's going to be the same thing here. The auditor might do that. The auditor might speak with management in this case. The auditor has a responsibility to consider this. It's a viable option. However, it does not have to actually be done. The auditor must do this. Unconditional. So must conflicts with should. Must is the most strict here. The auditor must do this. There's no exception. I mean, in reality, there's always an exception, right? Per what we're seeing here, there is no exception. Reasonable assurance, we will see this, through all out. You as the auditor, you're providing reasonable assurance. You're not providing absolute assurance. That would put too much liability on you because if something gets through, some issue, error, material misstatement gets through that you missed, well, you don't want to go to jail. And that's why we provide reasonable assurance. The auditor is saying, okay, we have reasonable assurance that there's no material misstatements. However, it is still possible. Things can get past us, and hey, just look at Enron, look at massive bank card, Wirecard, all these massive bankruptcies, all these instances of fraud throughout. That's why we have reasonable assurance. It's a high level of assurance. This is an official term. You should know reasonable assurance as a high level of assurance that the auditor will detect material misstatements.
Hey there! Are you ready to not only pass your CPA exams, but truly understand and enjoy the material while studying? I know it seems impossible, right? Especially to enjoy the material? We'll do it together. Tap into the power of CPA.examprep.ai, where we've got personalized quizzes, multiple choice questions, memorization guides, flashcards, simulations, all tailored to your learning. Our adaptive study planning puts you on the fastest path to success and lifts you back up if you fall behind. Avoid wasting your precious time and money attempting an exam with a low chance of passing, because who wants that? We want to get you through this process as quick as possible. Our exam readiness prediction lets you walk in with confidence, knowing that you're prepared for success on exam day. Thankfully, there's no payment method needed to get started, so why don't you come join us? Visit cpa.examprep.ai and let's achieve your exam success together.